Sonequa MartinGreen in Star Trek Discovery. Jan ThijsCBS. After an episode-long break, the Klingons are back. Star Trek has often been progressive. Take its casting choices. Nichelle Nichols as Uhura, Avery Brooks as Sisko, and Kate Mulgrew as Janeway were all landmark and hopeful depictions of a society moving forward. Star Trek has also never shied away from the politics of the day. Take the conflict between the Klingons and Starfleet. As depicted in movies featuring the original cast, it mirrored the conflict between the United States and the USSR. That the eventual peace of the undiscovered country 1991 coincided with the aftermath of the Cold War was not by happenstance. Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country assassin scene video by These Are the Voyages. Star Trek Discovery is even more blatant. Instead of representing the Soviet Union, the Klingons convey attitudes similar to those seen on the streets of Charlottesville, VA, in 2017. This is by design, as the showrunners have said. Politics permeate every part of our lives now. Late-night comedy, NFL games. Why should Star Trek be any different? In this week's episode, VOQ, who was named as Kuvma's successor in the show's pilot, speaks of resisting assimilation. He is also opposed to using Federation technology, saying it would be blasphemous to Kuvma's spirit, although he apparently had no problem meeting Georgiou. Yikes, a worse fate for a great captain than Kirk's. The Klingons are brutes motivated solely by the phrase "remain Klingon," which has the subtlety of a brass band on a golf course. They are isolationists, and the writers do not want you to like that one bit. But there is also an arms race of sorts. Each side believes that it will have the essential edge over the other if its technology is properly harnessed. For the Federation, it's the spore drive, which allows the Discovery to travel anywhere instantaneously. For the Klingons, it's the cloaking device that Kuvma obtained but which is now controlled by VOQ. Or is it? It's unclear. At the end of the episode, we learn from VOQ that it's been 6 months since the war started. For some reason, VOQ and the rest of Kuvma's followers were left adrift and starving after the Battle of the Binary Stars, while the rest of the Klingon Empire, which was united by Kuvma, takes on the Federation. After VOQ travels to the derelict remains of the Shunjo in order to get its dilithium to make his ship operable again, Cole buys the loyalty of Vox crew by giving them food. Kuvma's followers are painted as cult-like. That they would be bought off with food by a Klingon who stood against their leader seems dishonorable, but hey, I'm not Klingon and I'm not starving. Speaking of food, chowing down is another symbol of power, as Lorca shows. He is eating, at least visually, a tasty meal as he is made aware of Corvani's troubles by Admiral Cornwell. This is a classic Star Trek trope. A planet that produces 40% of the Federation's dilithium, a crucial resource, is under attack by an enemy, and of course, the Discovery, with spore drive, is the only ship able to help. What worked? 1. Burnham's intuition. Finally, 4 episodes in, we see an instance of why Burnham was a successful Starfleet officer before her mutiny. Her instincts tell her that the creature Lorca wants her to weaponize is not actually violent by nature, just misunderstood. If this sounds familiar, Spock, who is supposed to be Burnham's stepbrother, deduced something very similar in an original series episode, The Devil in the Dark, in which a creature threatens a mining colony. Star Trek Deep Rocks video by Star Trek. Burnham is able to figure out how to use the creature to transport the Discovery to Corvan 2. Don't ask me how. This was straight Trek technobabble, which is fine. Burnham's scenes felt like a more traditional Trek episode, which was enjoyable in its own right. Point 2. Tilly was a little skeptical of the science nerd played by Mary Wiseman, but she is providing a much-needed counterpoint to Burnham's morose demeanor. For one thing, their pairing shows us two characters that actually tolerate each other's presence, which is more than can be said of every other crew member on the Discovery. It's nice to see a real friendship develop here. Point 3. George's return. Michelle Yeoh returns as Georgiou, albeit as a hologram, to pass on a telescope she left for Burnham as part of her will. Georgiou, we barely knew. But every time Yeoh appears, she brings a level of charm and sincerity to the captain's chair that is lacking in the rest of the show right now. Georgiou says in her hologram appearance that Burnham is like a daughter to her. Does she have any actual family? I was surprised that no family member intervened to keep a prized possession from going to someone who committed mutiny against her. Then again, Picard didn't have a family, so who knows? What didn't work? 1. Commander Landry's death. I understand the inclination for TV shows to mimic Game of Thrones and kill off main characters unexpectedly. We've already seen it in Discovery with Georgiou and Kuvma. But can we not do it in a way that makes the character seem absurdly stupid? Rekha Sharma was actually compelling in her brief run in Discovery as Landry. She seems composed, professional, rational and efficient. Freeing the creature without any proper safety precautions in place seemed totally out of character. Of course the alien was going to thrash her. Landry also seemed overly loyal to Lorca and one of the few whom he confided in. Yet, Lorca treats her death as barely an afterthought. I get it. Lorca is unsentimental. We're at war, but he's not a robot. Discovery doesn't appear to have any interest so far in being an ensemble show, which is why we know little about crew members like Saru and Stamets, and why it is willing to kill off major characters right after introducing them. Point 2. Klingon politics. It's hard to care at all about the main villains in Discovery when the actors playing them can barely move their faces. The Next Generation made Klingon politics magnetic, especially in Redemption. The Klingons, Gowron, Duras, etc., thoroughly inhabited their roles in the storyline with gusto. Part of what made previous iterations of Klingons so palatable is that they leaned into emotions and impulses. Discovery Klingons cannot emote effectively because of the makeup. Star Trek TNG Redemption. The Klingon Civil War video by Bizarre Power. Did you catch that? When Lorca is arguing with Stamets over the use of the spore drive, he asks, how do you want to be remembered in history? Alongside the Wright brothers, Elon Musk's Ephraim Cochrane, Coach Rain, as Trek fans will remember, is the 21st century scientist who fathered warp drive. He appeared in the original series, and he was played by James Cromwell in Star Trek First Contact and in the pilot of Enterprise. Star Trek First Contact 39 movie clip. First Contact with Earth 1996 HD video by Movie Clips.